Liquor licenses are notoriously hard to come by in Boston. Now, they're capped by state law, and the legislature has to sign off on changes, but certain neighborhoods have a lot more trouble than others. In fact, majority black and Latino neighborhoods like in Roxbury, Mattapan, Hyde Park, and much of Dorchester hold a small fraction of the city's 1,000 licenses, despite housing half of the city's population. That's why the city of Boston is pushing for 250 zip code-specific licenses to help fill in the gap. Now, the Boston City Council unanimously approved the licenses earlier this year, and now they're urging the State House to do the same. Two of the councils behind the push, Ruzi Louisian and Brian Worrell, join me now. And actually, Brian, you kind of got the ball rolling. You came in as, support. But before that, why the disparity in the liquor licenses?
Yeah, so as a small business owner, one of my focuses was to identify barriers to businesses here in the city of Boston. And one of the barriers that we saw was liquor licenses in our neighborhoods because of the cost associated with those liquor licenses. Right now in the secondary market, the liquor license is going for $625,000. And we know because, we know the disparity studies when it comes to income and medium net worth here in the city of Boston, that our local and black-owned businesses do not have that capital to compete in the secondary market.
All right, so let's kind of break it down for our audience, right? The liquor licenses that are available now, they're limited. They're transferable, right? They're assets, the ones that are. So you're saying to acquire one, if you and I wanted to start a bar in JP, and we wanted a liquor license, it would cost us about $625,000. If this goes through, what are the options that we have now?
Yeah, so under this restricted license that we're proposing under this home rule petition, it wouldn't cost you anything. It would cost you every year you'd have annual registration fees. It would be about $3,000, but it wouldn't be a transferable asset. So you'd be able to have a liquor license for your business, be able to, we know that the margins are really slim in the restaurant business, and then alcohol sales really do add to the profitability and the viability of a restaurant. And so that's what this would do. But let's say that restaurant were to close, you don't carry that liquor license with you. It stays with that zip code. And that's one of the really important landmark parts of this legislation. It's recognizing where are the underserved zip codes. We want to make sure that we are bringing vitality, we are bringing vibrancy to these neighborhoods, and we do that in part with these liquor licenses.
Yeah, and you're a small business owner, and you talked about it, right? The margins, profit margins are very slim.
Right.
And liquor license for a restaurant is sometimes it's always very, very important, right?
Yeah, and what we saw inside of some of our studies is that the revenue is 2 times the amount with restaurants that have liquor licenses. And we also know that 1 in 3 restaurants don't survive their first year. So on top of all the costs associated, whether it's, $1 million build out, whether it's stocking, whether it's employees, right? Now we're adding a $625,000, cost to, local businesses that, we know when they're doing well, our community's doing well. They're hiring from the employee. They're reinvesting in, neighborhood organizations. So we want to make sure that we give the tools to our restaurant and local restaurant owners to have the ability to reinvest in our community and in themselves as well, to establish not only, generational wealth, but also thriving business districts inside of the neighborhood.
So you talked about it, right? Generational wealth, small businesses in our community. This was a barrier that really we hadn't heard before. Mm-hmm. How did you all say this has got to be a priority and we got to do something about this?
Well, we actually on this, former city councilor Ayanna Pressley, now Congresswoman Pressley, worked on similar, not exactly the same legislation to provide restricted neighborhood liquor licenses back when she was city councilor. That was effective, but one of the things that it did was it wasn't strategic in this staggered zip code specific approach. It sort of pitted neighborhood against neighborhood. So Dorchester got some restricted licenses, but then Mattapan got 0. Mattapan, where I was born and raised, they still don't have one restaurant with a liquor license. So I can't recommend to you a restaurant where you can go and have a drink, a beer, or something like that in Mattapan because it doesn't exist. Yeah. This would require, it would be license specific to 02126, which is the Mattapan zip code, to help that thrive. You mentioned JP, right? Where would you recommend in JP? A lot of the liquor licenses in JP are actually being bought by chains that are then going to the seaport, right? Because they're the ones who have the capital to be able to pay $625,000.
Yeah. So let's go over that again, right? So as it stands now, a liquor license that you pay for, a company can pay for it, they can take it anywhere and just leave that neighborhood,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
But under this, you can't.
Right. This gets tied to a neighborhood, right? So the other goal for this was to incentivize, right, restaurateurs to come to those districts that don't have those sit-down restaurants, right? So if you know a liquor license is in Mattapan or Dorchester, right, we're trying to get those businesses, right, to come to those neighborhoods and open up shops so that we can have a place to sit down and enjoy a nice drink.
All right, so let's give credit to the Boston City Council because this is a unanimous decision, one of many, right?
High five, Councilor Rowe.
High five, high five, high five. But where does it go from here? Who's, what's the next step? Who do we have to convince?
Yeah, well, we both testified with the mayor in front of the State House because there are things that we have to, that when we want to do as a city of Boston, we have to get permission from the State House. So Councilor Arel has really been leading in that effort. The hearing, I think, went well past 6 o'clock on Monday, and it started at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So there's a lot of work to do, and we're hoping that our colleagues in government and the State House will vote this out of committee favorably because there's such a community need and a desire to get these liquor licenses in the hands of our businesses.
Why wouldn't they pass it? Like, what could possibly bring a no or delay this?
I'm hoping that they do pass it and they recommend it out of committee favorably, but that's where we need the help of the public to reach out to State Representative Tacky Cheng, who's one of the committee chairs, and State Senator Cronin as well, and all the other committee members are part of the licensure committee. So please, right, if you think that this is something that we do need here in the city of Boston, please reach out to State Representative Tacky Cheng.
How would somebody go about, let's say it goes through of acquiring the license? Is it an application fee? Is it a lottery? How does a person get chosen to a restaurant?
Well, there will be an application fee, and it's going to be, there's still the ABC, the Alcohol Commission here in the city of Boston that has to do the final approval. So it's not just going to be, you get a license, and you get a license, and you get a license. No,
You can't be Oprah.
We don't run it that way. Okay. There's an orderly approach to applying and availability, and there's a staggered availability every year to also prevent oversaturation in any specific neighborhood. So this is a really well thought out way of making sure that there's balanced growth in our neighborhoods, right? And it doesn't put, one of the things that we didn't mention is at the hearing on Monday, a lot of the people who testified in favor of this home rule petition are folks who actually own those $625,000 worth assets because it's not competing. It's about how do we driving more people into our neighborhoods, and they want that too. We want bustling, vibrant main streets in all of our neighborhoods.
So who would be opposed?
I mean, we've heard from a lot of people. We've heard from, attorneys that practice in this field. We've heard from the Massachusetts Restaurant Association, who stood in support of this. We've heard from, restaurant owners. We heard from the mayor. We heard from state representatives. We've heard a large part from a good group of people here in the city of Boston. As of now, there's no one in the city of Boston who's a stakeholder that's opposed to this legislation.
So did I hear earlier that if Mattapan gets a license, you're taking us to dinner?
Everyone.
Okay.
Everyone to dinner and your drink
record.
or cocktail of choice.
Okay, good. I'm not a big alcoholic drinker, but I will buy you.
Una cerveza.
Una cerveza.
Yeah.
So speaking of your area, your neighborhood, how would that affect your particular district?
Yeah, so a lot of businesses in my district right now are solely takeout. I've spoken to a few restaurateurs that have been operating, their business for 18 years without any sit-down options, right? And they want to expand. They want the ability to hire more people. They want to be able to show off their, cultural cuisines, and we also want to drive, some of the tourism dollars here to our neighborhood. So it will talk about growth, talk about more jobs, and as I said, reinvesting into our neighborhood.
So I've seen the campaign, the All-Inclusive Boston campaign, which talks about this. This is part of that all-inclusivity, right? Getting liquor licenses in these areas for these small businesses. They're all small, mostly all small businesses, right? Restaurants. What is your particular district for those who don't know?
Yeah, so my district is District 4. It's Mattapan, Dorchester, Jamaica, a little bit of Jamaica Plain and Rosendale. But I have Common Square, right? I have a little bit of Mattapan, like going towards Morton Street. So we have like these major long corridors. Blue Hill Ave, which could be a thriving commercial district, American Legion Highway, right? So these areas are areas that I see and the community has seen as areas that could be thriving business districts that we want to make sure that they have the tools with these liquor licenses to be able to bring that foot traffic and bring that attraction to our neighborhoods.
And you've heard from a lot of restaurant owners in your part?
Oh, we've heard from a lot. I mean, one of the heartbreaking things is when I got a call from someone who owns a restaurant in Mattapan or in Roxbury, Hyde Park, East Boston. They have a restaurant and they want to have a liquor license, and we said, I'm sorry, we don't have any more restricted ones available unless you have $625,000. You want to take out a mortgage so that you can make this possible, and that's just not possible. We don't have that capital often in our communities, especially in black and brown communities. This is one way of making that possible and really actually addressing the disparities, the racial wealth gap. This home rule petition does all of that. And so that's one of the reasons why we're just so excited about all of the things that this home rule petition brings together.
Yeah, and again, it goes outside just race too. It's like all these neighborhoods in Boston.
There's a great bakery in Jamaica Plain, Third Cliff Bakery. They want to start this really innovative idea with wine and drinks, but they can't afford the $160,000 liquor license, right? This would make that possible. They could get a restricted license, and then we'll see so much ingenuity, creativity, entrepreneurship based on what is already a popular bakery that wants to expand and offer the community something more. So why not support it?
And we've also heard at that hearing testimony from restaurateurs that received one of these non-transferable licenses and was able to open up another restaurant, right, because of the low cost these non-transferable licenses have associated with them. So it gives the restaurateur an ability to expand and to bring their ideas and restaurants to other neighborhoods.
Well, I want to thank both of you for kind of giving us more details. I've been seeing it in the news, but hearing it from you guys have really given me a better idea, I'm sure the viewers too, of exactly how this works. So thank you for coming by.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you
for having us.
Thank you.